Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series. My name is TJ Osmukiti Sanders, and I'm joined once again with Frodan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's week 5 technically in the broadcast,
Yeah.
and this is where we start ramping up pretty aggressively towards the LAN finals.
Yeah.
This week we're going to have 4 days of broadcast. Just me and you, TJ, just like old times.
Just like the old days. Of course, we are to the Redemption Series. So basically what that means is every player that participated in the Legendary Series up until this point, and all the regular weeks, the first 4 weeks, will get another chance. We've seen so far life coach Kalento, Kabi, and Reynad will be joining us for that LAN finals. And we're awaiting 12 more spots, 4 of which we'll find out this week. Why don't you go over a little bit more about the Redemption Tournament there, Dan?
Yeah, so the Redemption Tournament acts like a wild card playoff spot for people who have gotten really far in the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Just even getting to the top 8 is quite the accomplishment. They have to weed through hundreds and hundreds of competitors. And so think of it kind of like how, in Major League Baseball, there's a wild card spot that goes to the 4th place team before they go to the Division Series. In the same exact way, these players are playing for 4 spots that will be given throughout the rest of the days here at the broadcast to our LAN finals happening June 5th through 7th. And, of course, that's going to bring us to 8 players, which means we have 8 more players coming through Open in order to qualify for those World Championship points, which means next week is the following last chance for people to get to the LAN. If you're living in North America, you can go to the last chance qualifier and get a spot for the offline finals.
Indeed. And, of course, Conquest is the format. You guys have been familiar with it through most tournaments have been using Conquest for 2015. It is going to be the standard Blizzard format used for the BlizzCon World Championships this year. It is best of 5. Each player brings 3 unique decks, and in order to win the match, they must take a victory with each of their 3 decks. And, of course, it's blind pick. Winner changes decks, of course. Loser can choose to stay what they lost with or pick a new deck.
That's right. That's right. And also the loser gets thrown into the fire behind us. That's actually what happens.
Indeed. It's very hot.
Well, I'm actually wearing a jacket because I'm a little bit feeling cold today, but maybe I should just sit close to the fire. TJ took my spot, but I couldn't find a more behooving person worthy to succeed me.
I definitely appreciate it. Yes. And, of course, we do want to give a big shout-out to our sponsors for this event that make that fire possible. It's going to be Plantronics and Gigabyte, who have hopped on board for Season 2. And we have a lot of fun things planned for the Season 2 LAN Finals. And, of course, the Last Chance Open, where we're going to bring 8 players that are coming from an open qualifier to that LAN Finals. And none of that would be possible without those guys. So check out those links below. Make sure you support the Legendary Series. Support Hearthstone Esports.
Esports. PogChamp. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that's going on, too. We have giveaways that are happening, TJ, all throughout the time. What are some of the stuff that they can win?
Yeah, ESL.GG/Redemption Series, I believe, is the giveaway. We're giving away packs, which, of course, we all know that I'm
Free packs is just great. It's starting to get to the point where, to be honest, Hearthstone's quite expensive if you want a full collection. But there's so many ways to get giveaway packs. Get some easy ways to start building your collection. Yeah. If you want to do everything through gold, it just takes a lot of time. And some players who are new to it, they're willing to dump the gold because they're full-fledged adults. But not everyone who loves playing card games starts at an adult life. When I started loving playing card games, I was 10, 11 years old, first getting my Pokemon cards, and I couldn't really afford them, right? So getting free packs is awesome. Definitely go to that link and see if you can win some for yourself. Yeah,
the dream is to have one of the players that wins those free packs use the cards that he got those free packs with to win the Open season. And make it to the LAN Finals.
That's cool.
You could be the Legendary Series Season 3 winner if you go get those free packs. You can do it in a Plantronics headset as well because we're giving away one of those.
That's right.
And, of course, you can tweet at us. Make sure you use the hashtag HLS. You can follow us on Twitter at ESL Hearthstone. Of course, we'll be checking Twitter throughout the day during the breaks that we have in the casting. We'll be joining in on that conversation, seeing what you guys have to say about the games and what you guys have to say about the Legendary Series, and if you're looking forward to the LAN Final, because I know that we definitely are.
It's going to be a fun time, TJ. I think we've got a lot of fun activities planned. It's not just going to be a bunch of games and then a little bit of analysis and a couple of jokes with maybe an interview. It's going to be that plus more. We're going to have a lot more fan engagement stuff, some really things that really paint good personalities. And it was promised by Milkcast himself that it's going to be one of the best lands you'll see all year.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And we had a chance to talk to some of the players that are playing in the Redemption Tournament today about their thoughts about coming to the lands. Why don't we see what those guys had to say?
All right. Well, that was very informative.
At least we got to see their faces.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Some people who can read lips, they got a lot out of that segment. But for people who can't, yeah, it probably wasn't that helpful.
Well, for you guys that got to see that short little clip of the players talking,
I enjoyed it a lot.
I did. Those are actually the players that are going to be participating today. So why don't we take a look at the groups that we're going to see today, or the group that we're going to see today, and the group that we're going to see tomorrow. Of course, Group A is going to be TooWet, who will actually be seeing twice since he qualified twice for the Legendary Series. He'll be in Group A, and then he'll also be making a reappearance in either Group C or D. Chiang, Ignite, Lemurian, Savitz, Trump, and Bub Senpai, of course, is in Group A, but unfortunately he could not make it. So his first round opponent, which was supposed to be Trump, will be getting an automatic move on to the semifinals.
Savitz also goes to semifinals because he is a second-place finisher. We basically took all the non-first-place finishers, 2nd through 8th, which means there's 7 players, 28 players. We just put them in 7-man brackets, and to reward someone to go all the way to the finals, not only do they win money, but they also have an opportunity to bypass the rounds, see their opponents, just get a little bit of an edge for getting second the previous week.
Yeah, and of course you can also see Group B on your screen there. That will be taking place tomorrow, and then of course Group C on Saturday, Group D on Sunday. Group B will consist of Chalky, Strife Crow, Cross, Modern Leopard, Bunny Muffins, Lead Paint, who also like TooWet, will be seeing twice since he qualified twice for the Legendary Series.
Cool.
And of course, GCT Turret, who I believe will be the player getting the bye because he was second place in his week. So that, of course, Group B will be seeing tomorrow. So why don't we take a look at the bracket for today? Of course, we're going to see TooWet versus Chiang first off, but I'd say this group is pretty good, pretty stacked.
Yeah, I like this group. I don't know too much about a few of the guys outside of what we've seen at the Legendary Series, Lemurian and TooWet. Chiang is a player in China who's pretty well known amongst the players. I think he was about the same level as Ignite is for the West. Like, maybe the fans aren't as familiar with Chiang, but the players certainly are in China. So he does have a good reputation in terms of being a strong player. I think he was also a player that likes to bring his own decks and style and doesn't listen to people. So for better or for worse, he usually succeeds and fails based off his own preparation and what his own mindset is about the metagame. So I think Chiang's a really interesting player to watch. Maybe if you can try to oversee the fact that he doesn't speak English that well, I'd still love to see him at LAN.
Yeah, a lot of the decks that he makes become popular on Chinese ladder just because they're so fun and
wacky.
Wacky. He made a Hobgoblin
kind of like
Warlock.
Freshka in a way. You know?
Yes, yeah. I think that's a good analogy, good representation of who he is. And one big thing about this group is that nobody that's participating in this group finished below 4th place.
That's right. So we randomized the brackets, right?
Yeah, we did.
And that's why I think one of the groups between Group C and D, will they have an invited player? I don't think so, that we have in the previous weeks.
I think every group has at least one invited player.
Okay.
But there will be groups later on that have like a lot of the lower placing players. since they were randomized and also based on availability. So today is a pretty stacked group, not even looking at the names, but just looking at the results of these guys placing on. TooWet is the only player who sort of had a weird week because he had two separate weeks where he participated. In one he finished 5th and 6th, and one he finished 3rd and 4th. And Chiang as well was one of the other players who didn't have quite a successful week, but as far as results go, this group is definitely stacked. And,
all right, well, Chiang versus TooWet. TooWet, we've seen a lot with his mage choices, right? He used to bring Flame Waker in the very beginning, and then he tried to go really far with that Patron Warrior. Wasn't really successful either. Today, we've got Hunters and Warriors and Druid/Warlock. That seems to be the split across here. Now, what kind of warrior is it going to be? Is it going to be Dragon Warrior? I have to imagine so, because in China, specifically, I believe a handful of the top 10 legends, like I want to say 3 or 4 of them, are Dragon Warriors. And they've really felt like they found a really good list. A lot of them have found consistency, and most important thing is that it's really hard to play against a Dragon Warrior, primarily because you interpret it as control, and all of a sudden you start gearing for different threats, and then they plop your Sarah and you weren't really ready for it, and then all of a sudden you get overwhelmed. But on the flip side, Control Warriors sometimes run out of card advantage in the late game because they're just dropping big bombs, and then things like Nefarian can really help swing and create another win condition.
Yeah.
So I want to see how it pans out. I'm predicting a Chinese Dragon Warrior coming out from Chiang, and I'm predicting a Patron Warrior from TooWet, and I think that'll be the main differences here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's possible that TooWet could bring Control Warrior as well.
Right.
He seems to bring usually what he is 2 fast decks and 1 slow deck. It seems to be like his normal rhythm. But TooWet, I've called him in the past sort of the master of deception. Because the way he plays is a lot different than what other people play. He's always trying to get in your head and mind games you by mousing over cards that he can't play on turns that he can't play them, by playing secrets out of order. When you think it's going to be Explosive Trap, it ends up being Freezing and vice versa. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does that with his deck choices as well. You think he's going to bring something, but then he comes out with something else that's unpredictable.
Well, it's an interesting way to put it. I'll see if it ends up being the case in this day specifically. Remember, guys, it's single elimination. It's win or go home.
Indeed.
Or stay home. In this case, why did Chiang not coin out the Leopard Gnome, you think? Is it because he really wants to save the coin for a big power play the next couple turns? Because Leopard Gnome, generally speaking, the earlier you get it out, the more damage it does.
Yeah, or to combo with Knife Juggler. Also to make Glaive Zuka have a consistent target. I mean, there's a number of reasons. A lot of times it's not about just getting as much power on the board as possible, because you can get 1 extra damage out of it with Knife Juggler.
It's also interesting because, you know, is it the whole point that...
That didn't quite hit them.
Oh, he put the buff on the Knife Juggler. That's really unfortunate. That's 2 missed damage.
Yeah, which is actually a big deal.
He might as well have played Murloc Raider. Like, that's actually exactly what this is.
Yeah. Or a Leopard Gnome and then silence his own Leopard Gnome. And...
oh, boy, that's kind of embarrassing from Chiang.
Yeah. And a lot of times, I mean, those points of damage matter. A lot of times the Druid will stabilize at very low health, and sometimes the extra damage, especially with Face Hunter. We haven't actually seen much Face Hunter in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, no. Hold on. Oh! The double juggles.
Yeah.
And, you know what? Swipe does end up dealing with this. But you have to kind of imagine, what if Chiang was able to get that little bit extra damage and his opponent would be at 16? And there is still Glaive Zuka as a follow-up, and 1 Knife Juggler does end up surviving.
Yeah.
Rough stuff.
Yeah, this is not too bad of a start here for TooWet. A lot of times your starting hand could be make or break as a Druid. If your hand is too clogged early on, you fall far behind. You get to 15 health by turn 3, turn 4. It's still a lot of damage.
It's still a lot of damage with Kill Command in the hand.
Yeah.
And another problem is you can't feel the security of playing the Sludge Belcher, but if you play the Keeper of the Grove and the weapon gets the hit, Sludge Belcher might realistically be your best option. Keeper of the Grove is hedging bets, though. It's off curve, so it's slightly annoying.
Yeah.
But I guess it's also because Knife Juggler does do damage. Oh my god. That's just crazy damage right now. Kill Command to the face, Hero Power and hit. put your opponent down to potentially his last turn, and he needs a heal right now, but he can't. What heals for 6 or less?
You'd have to have Innervate and
Ancient of
Lore.
Or Bite.
Yeah. Yeah, doubt that's going to happen.
Right. So that damage is going to be game-ending, and Chiang starts off to a 1-0 lead. The Face Hunter, ooh, the Flare.
That's pretty interesting. It's a tech in there for mirror matchups and for mages.
Right.
And we did see that we can look at the deck list. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's a lot of similarities between a lot of these deck lineups that we'll see as we go through the course of this day.
Well, I think Face Hunter is a pretty interesting call, considering that it's a lot weaker generally against the field than mid-range Hunter right now.
Yeah.
But it's good against mid-range Hunter. So if you think people are bringing mid-range Hunter, which should be more of a popular class today, then you can capitalize on that. And I like that choice from Chiang. I'm looking forward to see how he's going to also mix it up. And if I know my opponent's playing Druid, and he most likely will queue it up, because statistically, I think players do tend to favor queuing up the same deck again. It's Firebat said it was 80, but I think it's like changed a lot since then. I think it's like leaning more towards about 50 to 60%. So if they're more likely to stay on the deck, stay away from the Warrior if it's Control Warrior, or if it's Patron Warrior, go for it.
Yeah.
I think you're probably going to see maybe the Warlock versus Druid coming up.
Yeah. TooWet seems to change his decks a lot unless he's playing Mage.
Okay, so if he's a player that does change, then just it doesn't really matter. Then just choose whatever you want.
Yeah. It seems like Mage is, of course, his favorite class. If he's playing the Mage, he'll queue it up again if he loses. But a lot of times, like last week, he opened with Druid a lot, but then would switch it up if he lost his first game with Druid.
Sure.
Because what he would do is he would try to take a quick game with Druid, and if he couldn't, he'd save the Druid for last.
Save it to that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you're up 2-1, you have 2 chances to draw like into a Wild Growth.
Yeah.
So.
He stays with the Druid.
Oh, and he goes into Warrior immediately, which that makes you feel like it could be a Patron Warrior where you're just like unafraid of what you want to do. Now, I think Chiang was also the person who played like a Miracle-esque Warrior, right? It was like super draw intensive, super combo. It was like
it was Patron Warrior, but it was all combo pieces.
Yeah. Didn't he have like a Charge and like Worgen as well, or is that someone else I'm remembering?
I think he had Worgen. I'm not sure about Charge.
I just remember like the card charge. Yeah, I was thinking because I remember seeing a player. I thought it was Chiang, where he played so like all into his win condition that it was just like outrageous, and he almost won.
Yeah, he topped out at Thorson.
Right.
And like the card below that was like Gnomish Inventor. Everything else was card draw, like double Loot Hoarder, double Gnomish Inventor.
I don't mind it. I mean, to be honest, Thorson might be the most expensive cards in modern-day ladder Patron Warriors.
Yeah.
Because Gromosh kind of does the same thing Frothing Berserker can do, but for cheaper mana and less clunky.
And Dr. Boom, there's been quite a few players cutting it, just because usually Dr. Boom comes at around the same turn combo does.
Right.
So it makes your turns awkward where you're either setting up like a board with Grim Patrons. Right. The only time that it's good is if you don't get an Emperor Thorsan out and you're going for a traditional combo, which is like Grim Patron Warsong.
On 8.
And you play Dr. Boom on 7, and so then to set yourself up with almost a guaranteed good board position to go for your Grim Patron Warsong on 8.
All right. Well, let's see how it pans out. We see Gromosh in the hand, so it seems like it scales a little bit better into the late game, but that just means that there's less pieces, you know, maybe one or no slams, or, you know, I don't think there's a commanding shout in here.
So I played quite a bit of this matchup, and I feel like one of the keys to winning this as a Druid is to pressure really fast, really early.
Innervates,
I mean Wild Growth, but that's pretty much a given. But don't be afraid to make risky plays early on, to force the Warrior to play reactively early, and force them to use cards that they normally use for their combo early on to clear. Like if you can get Whirlwinds out early, or you can get like Inner Rages out early, or you can get him to swing with Deathbite without comboing early on, then you're in a great position.
The thing is, like, I feel like people are starting to tech pretty aggressively too, putting in Harrison Jones again. Try and disarm, because getting that Deathbite ill-timed is, like you said, really key to make sure to disrupt the flow of how the deck actually operates.
Yeah. Did he keep Grim Patron, or did he mulligan away?
No. He mulliganed away. I think he only kept Armor Smith.
Yeah.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
The only matchup that I'll ever keep Grim Patron in is usually the mirror. Just because usually in the
Right.
mirror, the first person to get
The board
multiple
control.
Grim Patrons out wins. So a lot of times in the mirror, I'm just trying to, like, I'm turn 5, I have a Death Bite equipped. I'm like, this next card better be Grim Patron or I lose.
I wonder if it'll ever get to the point where people, because we're now starting to hit the point where mech decks, and TJ knows, we're starting to get to the point where
yeah.
mech decks are starting to go so out of their own line of win conditions on ladder
Yeah.
that they're trying to start winning back the board. So like, mech mages run Flame Strike. I saw that like multiple times in one day on ladder at like rank 3, and I'm like, what is going on? Lightning Storm and mech shamans is just like, because there's so many zoos out there with Imp Gang boss, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, we experienced this like 15 minutes ago.
So I really wonder with what happens if the warrior just starts running revenge so they can kill Grim Patrons. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Like, just so that it's so far removed out, it has to kill zoo and it has to kill, like, the other Grim Patrons that are 3 health.
Yeah.
It just starts running revenge.
It's possible. I don't know if I played Fibonacci on ladder yesterday. He was running Revenge in Control Warrior.
Tides of Time, I think, was also running revenge in his Control Dragon Warrior.
Okay, yeah.
And it just happened to be, like, the exact card he needed.
It's either the
And he
exact
won.
card you need or it's in your opening hand and it's dead the whole game.
No. Like, he drew it. It was like he
Okay,
he
I
like
see.
shield blocked into revenge.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was like perfect because he needed to gain life and kill everything off.
Mhm.
So it looks like TooWet has somewhat stabilized. You know, he set up the Druid of the Claw, which his opponent immediately hit with the weapon and then passed over. So you can start sneaking in some good damage.
Yeah.
I suppose his second question is, does he want to utilize this coin as double 7 because he has 4/5, coin 7/7?
Yeah.
Or he can coin out Druid of the Claw and set up another really strong wall too.
Yeah.
Both are really valid, really valid points, but I think going for the smoother curve is more valuable.
Yeah. There is merits to just coining out biggest threat as early as possible, but you're sort of hoping that you draw into something you can play the next turn. Because I mentioned earlier, one of the main ways you win is by pressuring really hard early.
Right.
And coining out a 5-drop when you don't have a turn 5 play would be playing a more riskier style that could benefit you later on. But I think it's just way too risky.
Well, he's got Inner Rage as well. So, you know, Inner Rage, I mean, a lot of these tech cards are kind of, you know, in between. Are you playing the one Inner Rage? Are you playing the Gromosh? So he seems to be leaning over towards a lot of those cards that can really spawn a lot of Grim Patrons and have scaled into late game damage.
Yeah.
I've been coming around on Commanding Shout. I used to hate on it a little bit. I was like, you know, this is just so gimmicky.
Yeah.
But it's not bad sometimes.
Well, Handlock is so popular right now, and
Right.
it's one of the only ways that you can beat Handlock. Like, legitimately, the matchup
You
is
just need to keep
terrible.
crashing.
Yeah, unless you have that, because you have to set up a big frothing play, make it so you can get through a wall, and have a big frothing play, which can win you games. But I mean, I've had Commanding Shout in almost all my Grim Patron lists, and I can't see any reason why I would remove it, especially now with decks like Handlock becoming more popular.
Sure. Has the option to drop this Frothing Berserker, and he does, just because getting something out onto the board is okay. And you have several win conditions as the Grim Patron Warrior. You have the Patron Flood.
Yeah.
You have the Frothing Berserker. And then the War Song kind of is like a win condition, just because if you can combo out with minions, you can get a lot of good synergy. Gromosh, of course, is another way. So there's a lot of pressure. The most important thing is that he can't lose too much of the board. And like you were mentioning, the Innervate was just really strong.
Yeah.
Hard to deal with.
One of the other win conditions that I think people overlook sometimes is just the weapon tempo win. Sometimes, even with just cards like Cruel Taskmaster, Armorsmith, and if you have a heavy weapon hand early on, you can just put on so much pressure with weapons that you can win by turn 8 without having to use Frothing Berserker or Grim Patrons.
Sure.
It's rare, but I've seen it happen more times than I ever thought I would when I saw this deck first become popular. Yeah, that's a scary board.
It's a scary board, but it can be easily dealt with if he draws Execute. And he doesn't have that, but he's got ways to make a lot of Grim Patrons this turn.
Yeah. Chiang is a very animated player. Whenever he he wears all of his emotions on his sleeve. Whenever he draws a bad draw, you can really tell. Whenever he's stressed out about a certain line of play, you can really tell. TooWet's sort of the opposite. He's always really stoic. He has the same facial expression on his face. I mean, he'll laugh if something crazy happens, like everybody will, but he's hard to read. And these guys met in one of their Legendary Series weeks in week number 3, and it was a really close series, but TooWet ended up pulling it out with a 3-2 victory. So the only time these guys have met, TooWet came on top, but barely.
All right, so we choose to go for Whirlwind first. Oh. Okay,
Wow.
so it ended up killing one of the Grim Patrons. I was wondering if you should have Interraged first and then Whirlwind afterwards so he gets a lot of chances for it to survive.
Well, I think that this actually makes it so he's guaranteed to have more no matter what, because putting more Grim Patrons on the board earlier would have increased the chance that multiple Grim Patrons were hit.
Oh, you're right, from the 2 boom box.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this in this scenario, he's guaranteeing at least. Well, no, I mean either way it's risky, but this way he's if he comes out with both with at least one Grim Patron winning, he has 4.
As opposed to I think it would have been 4 either way.
Would it?
Because if you Interrage
chance?
first and then Whirlwind, 4 come out or 4 are on the board, 2 die, and then you have another Whirlwind, so 4.
Okay, so just Interrage first, not Interrage Whirlwind first. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
I guess maybe this gives the stronger likelihood that the 5 health survive, the 5 attack survives.
Yeah.
So that's probably why the sequencing is slightly better.
Yeah.
Because that 5 damage on the Grim Patron is like a kind of a nuisance.
Yeah. It's little things like that that make a pretty big difference with this deck, though. I know a lot of people who first tried this deck say, "Oh, I don't see why it's so good. I don't know how to play it. It's so hard." Well, there's tiny little things that you can do that make it better.
I have no time for games.
Do you bother with the patrons, or do you just hit base because it's 7 damage and you have Force of Nature? I feel really tempted to hit the face.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, okay, so you've seen both Whirlwinds.
Oh my god. Oh man, that's so big. Cool Taskmaster and then spawn another. Oh my sweet lord.
Paddle Rage.
This is crazy. 4 cards for 2 mana.
Yeah.
And he still can pick up like execute weapons, more ways to really make it complicated.
Dragon Egg.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know how I feel about Dragon Egg.
That's cool though.
Because if Dragon Egg gets caught up in Whirlwind and you spawn an egg,
It doesn't get charged.
and oh, really? Like if
It's a 0-2. What's it gonna charge?
Oh no, I thought you meant the egg. Like if you spawn a whelp, then it gets charged.
Oh.
But I would think that if you mistime it,
I think maybe it's because the combo of the Dragon Egg is like you cool task it, and then it gets it becomes a 2-1 and it spawns a 2-1.
Okay. Huh.
It has to be with some kind of like OTK possible.
It seems like slightly wasteful though. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess we'll have to see how it's going to work out if Chiang makes it further, but I'm not sold just yet.
Oh.
Or maybe it's fodder for Sylvanas.
I was actually really interested by that play because if he traded the 5-2 in, there's a chance that the 2-2 could have got stolen. Then he could have played. Then he could have just attacked into it and got another one. It was a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah.
I think he took a really safe play to try and maximize the chance that Grim Patron wouldn't be stolen, but that's really bad now that this happened because his opponent will obviously gain board control through Grim Patron, which means Savage Warrior is going to be even stronger.
And TooWet is saying, "Why have the tables turned? I would like 1 Grim Patron, please." This isn't the best hand. I mean, having combo pieces like Warsun Commander and Grim Patron are good. But I mean, he only has 4 cards, and I don't know how he's going to piece together a win. He's going to need to make like a big Frothing Berserker play, and then follow it up with a Grom play. But I mean, TooWet's still at 30 health. A lot of times at this stage in the game, when you've already used 1 Grim Patron combo, a lot of times you put on enough pressure to put your opponent at like 15 or at least 20 health, but he hasn't done any damage. That early Innervate play, he had to focus on clearing the board for so long. By the time he made his combo.
Seems to be the best play. Dragon Egg comes out, trades with it, and all of a sudden he's on the next turn to win. Druid with Grim Patron. I mean, that's something that we weren't really anticipating being the win condition for this deck. That Sylvanas has been absolutely huge.
Oh, okay. Well, Chiang goes ahead and concedes, and TooWet is going to tie the series up.
Yeah, I think I have to pinpoint again. Unfortunately, he took a chance killing Sylvanas by suiciding a 3-3 and a 5-2
Yeah.
in order to try and maximize the chances that his opponent wouldn't steal Grim Patron.
Yeah.
But instead, if it was the worst case scenario, his opponent would have stolen a 3-3 and he could have traded it in. No. The worst case would have been stealing the 3-2 and then he couldn't kill it.
Yeah.
But even then, 3-2 at best was just suicide and traded with one of the minions. And he can't, he has to like wrath his own Grim Patron. But because he stole the 3-3, it killed off the 2-2 and spawned like the chain of Grim Patrons. And not only that, he lost his Grim Patrons.
Yeah.
So.
And it feels like even if that Sylvanas had gone his way, he was still in a bad position. TooWet was at 30 health, had 7 or 8 cards in his hand.
Yeah, but I think the health is not really as impactful as because it's so easy for the patron just to go for a 2-turn kill. He had Grommash in hand too.
Yeah,
so it's one of the things where he just has to set up the board once, and then Druid can't come back. Druid's not within combo range, and he wins. Like I've been so many times where I was like putting the patron warrior at like 16, 17 health, and I'm at like 30 with like no board, but he has like 1 patron that I left on it because I couldn't clear it all, and I just lose because there's no way you can reliably put out that damage without just like swiping the phase, and even then they have Armor Smith and Armor Up, so it's like I feel like that Patron Warrior is so resilient, and the comeback potential is really powerful because it's a combo deck.
Yeah, I want to see the full deck list of that with the Dragon Eggs. I wonder if he puts anything else in. I mean, you talked about it earlier. Chiang has unique choices when he makes his deck. But we are going to move into the next matchup. It looks like it is going to be Chiang on the Warlock versus TooWet, who's going to throw out the Warrior this time around. And, I mean, judging by this choice here from TooWet, I think it might be Control Warrior. Because he might have been thinking Chiang was going to stay the same and pick the Grim Patron Warrior, in which case Control Warrior is considered to have to be a favorite in that matchup. But maybe also he just didn't feel confident in Hunter. He would feel more confident in the mirror matchup than he would playing Hunter against Grim Patron, which is a pretty tough matchup.
Yeah, Hunter versus Grim Patron generally is really difficult. The ways that you clear the board involve a lot of one damage stuff. Single target is not very efficient. TooWet looks like he's leaning towards the Control Warrior side, and that is directly to shut down decks like the Patron.
Yep.
Because you have a lot of big minions, there's not really small minions, and you even have Harrison Jones to disarm the weapons. So I'm looking at TooWet to be trying to snipe out the Patron Warriors. It's a really good metagame call, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've even seen mid-range hunters over the past couple days putting in Harrison Jones.
I mean, I've seen Harrison in pretty much almost anything. I was thinking about putting in some of my aggro decks just to like destroy. I mean, I would never touch Fell Reaver, but it's like, you know, maybe instead of one Pilot Shredder, just put in Harrison or something. Not because it's good, but because I hated weapon classes that much.
Oh, Twisting Nether.
Wait, what? He's got Twisting Nether, Acidic Swamp Ooze, and a Kazan Mystic?
Wow. This is teched. This deck is teched.
What? Okay, well, it just so happens to be great against Hunter. Pretty decent against Warrior, I imagine. Especially Grim Patron Warrior. Like, Twisting Nether would be like, well, how do I deal with a board of Warsong Commanders and Grim Patrons?
Twisting Nether.
And look fabulous at the same time. I think Twisting Nether's the answer.
Oh, man. I was reading a post.
Because the answer to the previous question was Hellfire.
Yeah.
Like, how do I deal with Grim Patrons and Warsong Commander? Hellfire.
But Hellfire.
But how do I do that and look fabulous?
Twisting Nether. Or even Shadowflame feels that.
And also show how much money I have. Golden Twisting Nether.
Is it? It's not even golden. It's not.
Well, can you blame him? It's an NA server.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
All of his cards must be on China.
That's true. I opened a golden Nat Pagel the other day.
Yeah, I saw.
It was the greatest moment of my life.
Well, how about this? If he rolls a 4, it'd be pretty dang close to that feeling. Oh, three's average. Good thing it's not 2. 2 is just pitiful.
I can't remember if this was you that brought this up, but making Implosion inverse. Like if it does 4 damage, it spawns 2 imps. If it does 2 damage, it spawns 4 imps.
Maybe I told you about that, but
it was somebody on a broadcast.
I told you about it, but it wasn't my idea.
Okay. Well, whosever idea that was.
It was Reynad's idea.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay, take it back. Terrible idea. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, it wasn't Reynad's idea.
Okay, well,
But Reynad says it was his idea.
I just want to go off tangent a little bit here. At the end of Reynad's Legendary Series week that he won, he credited himself with everybody else in the tournament bringing Ancient of Wars and their Druid.
Right. Yeah, he was actually pretty humble about that. Normally, like Reynad's like, yeah, I really thought about it, but he basically was. It's pretty true. Like he was talking to the rest of the team, like thinking, I probably feel like Ancient of Wars and Taunts are just better right now. And then a few other people thought about it too, maybe independently or someone actually also thought about it and popularized it.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting how it works. But it turns out people who are good at card games tend to think alike sometimes.
Yeah, it's very true.
That's why it always cracks me up when someone credits themselves as like the first player to do this.
Yeah.
Like
I've had a lot of people, every single player that's come across Ledger Series, well, most of them, I'd say 95% I've interviewed, and it's amazing how many people credit themselves with the creation of the first Zoo deck.
Right, or like, you know, like the first to play Handlock, or, you know, even like the first to play Mid-Range Warrior.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, Life Coach is the one who made Mid-Range Warrior or Mid-Range Hunter, and I was like, well, actually, a lot of people played it for a long time when it was bad, but Life Coach helped figure out the best list.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, you can't ever take away that.
Yeah, the refinement is something that is an ongoing process.
What? Okay, let's just drop the reality bomb right here. Chiang not only has Twisting Nether for the Grim Patrons, Kazan Mystic for the Hunters, and Acidic Swampoos, he also has a Harrison Jones for the Jiraxis.
This is like a meta deck.
Not for the Jiraxis, for other stuff.
Because this also has Abusive Sergeant.
Well, the Abusive Sergeant is really interesting, too, considering that usually you do that in a Demon Lock deck, so that way you can buff Eggs and Void Terrors, but
I also say use if you're running double BGH. It could be an activator for BGH. Oh, we don't know if he's running double BGH, but
I think this is a combo Warlock deck.
Oh, is
now
it?
that I think about it, because he's got Emperor Thorson, which is kind of okay, but all of his cards signify removal or basically survival cards. If I have to say that, it's like just don't die to this. You know, don't die to weapons, don't die to a full board, don't die to secrets. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like Arcane Golem, Power of Overwhelmings, and a Faceless Manipulator too.
Well, you do remember the last time we saw Twisted Nether on the Legendary Series.
It was with Demon Heart.
It was with when Darkwonix won
yeah.
his week, and it was
With
a
Demon
combo
Heart.
lock. Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably the OTK Warlock
I
deck.
think that's a great call.
And I know that a few people were thinking about bringing OTK Warlock decks solely because too many people were expending with dragons, and you just kill them with combo because they're like, cool, you have dragons, here's 20 damage. And the thing, though, is Chiang is not tapping nearly enough yet, but he's been doing it partially a lot because of you know, how the games have panned out. Now, again, he wants to drop Emperor Thorson because a lot of cards become cheaper.
But he doesn't have any combo
But he doesn't have any combo pieces. Also, one thing that does confuse me is that if it really is combo, I wonder if he just like went full out, you know, double Power of Overwhelming, Abusive Sergeants, and I know Crip was telling me that he was trying out double Faceless Manipulator.
Whoa.
And I'm like, that's just so greedy, dude. But he's like, no, you just drop Faceless Manipulator on like a big taunt, or like you play Twilight Drake and you Faceless to that, and then you just play board control. And I was like, listen to Crip, and I was like, all right, well maybe there's some merit to it, but I feel like Chiang would be that kind of guy that plays two Faceless Manipulators because he's just that kind of fancy beast.
Maybe Chiang's just a big fan of Crypt, runs double faces.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just trades, taps, and plays Belcher, but Thorson also is really alluring just because of, you know, you get so much mana.
Hey guys, how's it going? Changarian here.
Uh-oh. Wait, what?
He looks just as confused as we are.
Uh-oh. Chiang might have ran out of time here.
Yeah. That's what I say about how he's a really animated player. Where's his emotions? Right on his...
That's really bad,
Canary
considering he wasted so much time. Like, passing to your opponent is really no good. It looked like he did attack, right? So he at least was connected for part of that turn.
Yeah. And I don't think his cam ever
Shut
went out.
off, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it might just have been a tough turn for him because he was debating in his mind whether or not he wanted to play Emperor Thorsan without any combo pieces in his hand. If that's the case, and this is a combo deck, but I don't know. He seemed very frustrated. Very frustrated.
Yeah, the key to the combo lock, too, is tapping as much as you can. I think we might actually be... Oh, okay. I was wondering if TooWet disconnected as well, but he plays Docu.
I think this might be... I talked about TooWet and how he's the master of mind games and the master of deception. TooWet reads his opponents very well. And he might have just roped there just to make Chiang think about his mistake longer. Like, it seems weird, and it seems like messed up or whatever, but TooWet, if any player is going to do that, I think it would be TooWet. I mean, we talked about it a little bit when he made that deception on Reynad where he played an explosive trap. But in every action that he made, from the turn that he played it until the turn that it was popped, like 5 turns later, he acted like it was freezing trap. And he does that so many times.
Sure.
With different aspects of the game.
I really wonder if Chiang is like just thinking about what happened, because he could have been in an amazing position. Emperor Thorsan would have been protected, or he would have at least had a Sludge Belcher. I don't think Twisting Nether's the answer here. I think you can get away with playing Big Game Hunter and Sludge Belcher, or even tapping and playing Farseer, something like that.
Yeah.
And I would definitely be in favor of tapping, just because of
Chiang's turned into an anime character.
Uh-oh.
And now he's turned into a still photo.
Looks like he's definitely in the middle of trying to rush some of his turns here. But as a result, because it looks like we have lost Chiang, we're just going to resize some of those Skype pictures here. Gorehowl is an interesting tech choice as well for the current metagame.
Yeah.
I know Fibonacci was rotating it back in. It generates insane card advantage. Plus, not to mention that it's just amazing if you happen to run into other control warriors too.
Yeah, I like it right now because it seems like a lot of times cards are the resource that you run out of first. The meter for when you want to play Gorehowl is when you have to use health and card advantage as sort of your resource gauge. If you run out of health before you run out of cards, then Gorehowl's bad. But if you run out of cards before you run out of health, then Gorehowl's good. I mean, that's just the way that I look at it usually when I'm debating between putting Gorehowl in or not, is looking at those two resources in tandem with each other.
There it is.
And seeing
Faceless Manipulator.
There it is.
It's really good analysis too, by the way. Okay, so there's the Arcane Golem.
Yeah.
Really good analysis, too, about how it fits into the meta, but more importantly, how you touched upon something that we were discussing earlier, the fact that Control Warrior sometimes just lacks draw, and that's why it's paramount for success.
Yeah. I mean, Gorehowl can buy you so many turns as far as, like, having answers to deal with things that are on the board.
So I wonder if TooWet can make the raid that this is a combo lock. I mean, it's really hard to interpret, but you see 2 weapon removals. You do see the Twilight Drake, though. And Twilight Drake doesn't necessarily give off fully the impression that it's combo.
Yeah.
But it's still, like, you can definitely start piecing things together. And now he has Arcane Golem Face Manipulator. That's 8 damage plus the 9 on board, 17. If he gets a Power Overwhelming, that would be an additional 8. So that would be lethal. Actually, no, he would probably be armoring up.
Yeah, I think every play here is. I mean, unless he's. No, yeah. He's gonna be armoring up. But he's out of cards. This is. I mean.
So this is a read that is not Molten Giants.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a very good read by TooWet here.
Yeah.
But
he might also think it's like the Dragon Warlock. It's sort of an OTK Warlock with Malagos. But he hasn't seen any Dragon cards. I mean, there's a possibility that the Black-Green Corruptors and the Technicians could be at the bottom of that deck, because those are the big tells.
Sure.
But, like, the Malagos, he hasn't seen Emperor Thorsan yet, so he can't be scared of that either. But usually Thorsan into, like, Malagos Dark Bomb Soulfire, or Malagos Dark Bomb Double Soulfire. That's a huge damage combination.
Dang. Talk about huge damage combinations.
He's close. It's very close.
Dude, Chiang legitimately might have passed the turn this game on turn 7 and still win.
I mean, granted, this deck.
That's how good it is against Warriors.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's teched so heavily. Like Ooze plus Harrison.
Like
it's been so long since I've seen a combination of those two cards.
And
together.
poor TooWet, he's playing Control Warrior, but he doesn't have like his executes. It's just got Shield Slam, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how long it's taken for him to clear this board.
I mean, no matter what comes out here, I think he's still alive.
Right. Oh, he's gonna shield. He doesn't have to Shield Slam. Now he can just kill it and armor up.
Yeah, yeah.
Armor up would be 3. That's actually important if his opponent drops Emperor Thorson too. Yeah. Because now you can armor up Shield Slam the following turn. His opponent would have 3 pieces that get reduced in mana, which is really big. Twilight Drake and Emperor Thorson. That's just really difficult to deal with now.
Yeah, with 3 pieces of the combo reduced. That's really huge.
In total, it'll cost, instead of 9, it'll cost 6. And that gives him opportunity to fit in another Abusive Sergeant and Power Overwhelming, which means that he tops out at 4, 8, 12, 14, 28 damage.
Yeah.
The problem with combo deck is that sometimes you don't ever get to really truly control the state of the board. I'm just really impressed that Chiang has such good tech against Warrior. But I'm also worried about how it's going to face off against Druid. It's like you have Kazan Mystic and an Ooze and a Harrison.
Yeah. This deck was definitely focused on Warriors and Hunters, I think, which is a really good call because those are probably the 2 most popular decks, I'd say, right now. I mean, maybe with the exception of other Warlocks.
Yeah, I mean, he's even got Kazan Mystic, which is good against Freeze Mage in case his opponent.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Freeze Mage there's still some players running it. We do have Ignite, who's considers himself and is considered one of the best Freeze Mage players in the world.
Sure.
Who might bring it.
Well, now that Cool Taskmaster's... Ooh, Implosion's good. Now that it's out of the way, though, feels like he can play this Kazan... Or he can be a little bit more liberal with his health.
Oh. Yeah.
It got the job done, I guess.
Yeah. Might as well just throw out the Kazan Mystic here.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some merit to maybe hiding it, but he's thinking that he's going to win this matchup.
Yeah.
He's got huge amounts of card advantage.
I'm like just really impressed how Chiang was able to line this up perfectly so that way it didn't hit the Druid. Because he just has to win once with this deck. It doesn't have to like win until it loses, right?
I wonder.
So being able to line it up correctly was really key to making sure the success of this deck too pans out.
I can take the hit.
Twisting Nether probably isn't even going to be needed. It's a liability at this point because he has board control, like not overwhelming, but a decent amount of control over the board. I mean, TooWet's top decking.
Yeah.
The Gore Howl getting Harrison was just huge. I mean, he was expecting that Gore Howl to get him through 3 turns, like buy him enough time to just hold on to the removal that he had in his hand and save it for later. And I'm sure he was not expecting it.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's rough.
He's definitely a little bit off. Shield Slam Shield Slam and Grotmash would only give him 10 damage. It's unfortunate that TooWet just seems to be out of cards, really, in his hand. If only that Gore Howl would keep him in the game.
Yeah.
Because he would be able to keep this state of the board under control, but that double weapon removal has been devastating. I kind of want to see Chiang, man. I'm sad that his cam's down. Chiang being able to see his reactions as he's going through the ups and downs of like, oh no, I'm disconnecting. Oh yes, I'm winning. Oh yes, he played Gore Howl. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. He was fun to watch. Yeah, to be honest, in that situation, even though it seems pretty desperate, I might throw out Grom. Because you know your opponent's never going to put himself in a position where he's going to get to 12 health.
Right.
You've been through most of your weapons. It's going to be really tough for you to ever find another opportunity to play Grom successfully, you know?
I guess you could always play like Alex Straza.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Even if he smacks over 2 turns, though, he has to use his S removal.
Yeah,
and he's
18
afraid.
damage.
What if there's a second Ooze? I wouldn't even be
Second
surprised.
Ooze is a Bloodsail Corsair. Just removes the last charge of Death Spite. Why not?
You know, Bloodsail Corsair could be
Job's done.
just as good. Because whenever you remove a weapon, unless it's like a Light's Justice,
right,
just one durability is good.
it's true.
You played in a
No
pirate
one plays
deck.
Thorn. I guess Doomhammer.
You know, you made a pirate rogue deck for me a long time ago, and it was in my collection for like 5 months because I couldn't bear myself to delete it.
Oh, is this lethal? I don't think so, right?
I believe I
8,
calculated last turn you would have like
16,
25 damage.
25. Okay, 6.
Yeah, you're right.
Just
that was,
Hellfires because he wants to put it out on there.
I mean, his imps are going to die next turn anyway. That's what he's... Double Hellfire.
Dude. He
That's
puts himself
bold.
within Cruel Taskmaster range, right? Wait, his opponent use both of them?
Yeah. Did he? He had to have, because I don't know
yeah.
why if he would ever make that play. Because you're thinking, okay, the card in his hand has to be Grom, you know?
Yep. He goes for it, but he's dead, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Hold on.
That's
No.
That's only 16. Oh yeah, double power warning. Yeah, that's game.
Yeah. He's pretty much out of cards. I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, TooWet already knows what type of deck it is. He just can't stop it.
Yeah. That's he's talking to himself. He's trying to say something, but he didn't look surprised at all when he saw that. So
We saw 29 out of the 30 cards. The second one has to be a second Siphon Soul.
Yeah.
That's probably the last card.
yeah, I mean he ran double BGH.
Can you imagine if he ran 2 Twisting Nethers?
Yeah, that would be. No, you can't run 2 Twisting Nethers. Imagine if you get both Twisting Nethers in like your
I
first
mean,
6 cards.
running 1 is already wild enough. You might as well just go all out.
Yeah, I don't even think running 1 is. Well, I guess against Grim Patron Warriors.
But then what happens when they play Pilot Shredder, gets Millhouse Mana Storm, and then has to time rewinder it in order to get a Fireball off Antonitis, and then you play Lotheb to cancel out the Antonitis, trade into it, and his last card is Millhouse Mana Storm. Then you have Twisting Nether.
Wow, you're right.
There you go.
Every Warlock, just because of that argument there, should put in Twisting Nether. I don't know, but I really like the deck. I think it's the tech cards make it really great against, like we said, the Hunter and the Warrior.
Yeah,
But
and
I'm
it's
not-
out of the way now.
Yeah,
So-
it's out of the way.
But here's another thing, too. Now that Chiang has revealed that this is my biggest problem about Combo Lock. If they know it early on, then you're in trouble for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Because people can play directly against that, with that knowledge.
Yeah.
But TooWet's on his last life. If he loses here, he is out until he comes back for another Redemption Day.
Yeah.
Now, that might be confusing. Like, why does TooWet get so many chances? You might even say too many chances. But the reality is he's qualified multiple times. So we take the 2nd to 8th place finisher of every week, which means TooWet qualified twice. He gets 2 chances in the Redemption Tournament.
Yeah, he's actually one of the highest. If you take all the results from all the Open Cups this season for the Legendary Series, he's actually, I think, one of the either the first or the second highest rated player based off his results. Even in the weeks he didn't qualify,
He got really far.
He got really far. In the Legendary Series weeks, he hasn't had as much success. He finished 6th through 8th in week 3. Or sorry, 5th and 6th in week 3 and 3rd, 4th in week 4. And he had an overall game score of 14 wins and 17 losses. So he's actually lost more than he's won, which him and Chiang are the only 2 players who have lost more games than they've won in this whole bracket. So these guys, I guess, could be considered underdogs just because of their game score. But again, TooWet, just for making it in twice, he's already sort of swayed my opinion of his play in his favor. Just because
washed away the doubts.
Out of all the jokes you can make with his name being TooWet.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I have a bunch lined up. Only about
I would say
8%
that
of them are
TooWet-
appropriate for a family broadcast like this
Oh.
one.
Yeah, but there's a lot of ways you can do it. I would have continued to go on with the puns, but he cut me off. Oh, okay. Gadget Zan is in the deck, right? And we're talking about that Miracle-esque type of warrior. And if he has Gadget Zan in here, I'm going to go ahead and throw out that he has a Raging Worgen in there, too.
Yep. Do you think Charged in there as well?
That's a spell. It's too expensive, though.
Yeah.
3 mana?
I think just having double Inner Rage, double Whirlwind, Battle Rage. Seems a little bit redundant with Battle Rage to have Gadgets and Auctioneer in there, though. But, I mean, I guess it's a pretty decent body. it could be a reliable source of card draw because how spell heavy the deck is. Not sold on it yet, though. Not sold on it.
Leok, probably the worst in terms of this Fire Warlock Whirlwind play, because it sets up the No Mission Event in the following turn.
Yeah.
Now, you know your opponent doesn't have a 2-drop because he coined for that 3. Lost Tall Strider, just 1 mana off. Second Animal Companion, but if it's Huffer, it gets shut down pretty easily too.
Ooh.
And I think Patron Warrior is okay paying that for now, as long as it can continue to guarantee board control. And it's got Armor Smith. Wow, okay, this is really good for Chiang. As long as it doesn't take too much damage, though. I mean, there is Kill Command Eagle Horn Bow, so realistically, there could be an opportunity for TooWet to charge for just the win.
Yeah. This, the mid-range hunter, I've had mixed feelings about against Patron Warrior. Some games are just complete blowout wins for the mid-range hunter.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like this one is a really awful matchup for mid-range.
For mid-range hunter?
Yeah.
I
But
feel,
look, he's taking a lot of damage.
yeah,
though.
I mean, this is one of the
like
reasons.
Crazy.
Sometimes you're focusing so much on trying to draw early on. I think it's a lot dependent on whether or not you draw the Armor Smith early. Whether or not you can get a lot of health gain out of your Armor Smith. Because a lot of times the mid-range hunter can just finish the game on like turn 7, turn 8 in this matchup because the Grim Patron Warrior, who normally spends so much health early on as removal in order to build up steam or build up cards or keep the board clean for their combos later on, they can close them out with like a weapon, kill command, quick shot. You put a Savannah Hyman on the board. If they don't have the perfect answers like execute and Warsong Commander and Grim Patrons, sometimes the game can just be over right there.
Straight up to the face.
Why not? Oh, double Armor Smith.
Maybe that's why.
Ooh. That's rough.
The thing is, you can play 2 Armor Smiths and just armor up and pass, right? You don't have to activate the Death Spite.
Nope, not yet.
And then
Made to fit.
drop the Patron next turn and profit.
Now, I just want to be clear. I still think that Patron Warrior is advantaged in this matchup, but I don't think it's advantaged as some people say.
Okay.
There will be a lot of players who say, oh, yeah, Grim Patron Warrior just wrecks mid-range hunter. Like, totally.
Totally, dude.
I think it's like 55-45. Dan's like,
I would go a little bit further. But
Dan's like, I hate you. I disagree.
I mean, you've played a lot more Patron Warrior than I have, so I'll believe you.
These mid-range hunter and Patron Warrior are my 2 most played decks this season, actually.
Did I learn?
But
He's
my
going to
Patron
use
Warrior
the
is different.
Hunter's Mark. Oh, yeah. He's going to use the Hunter's Mark effectively to just do 1 damage. Because he had to kill off that Armor Smith to deny a huge value.
Yeah, I don't disagree. You can't overvalue Hunter's Mark, because at the end of the day, it is a 0-mana spell.
Right.
I mean, it could have stronger plays later on in the game, but you're not guaranteed those stronger plays. So you might as well use it while you can. He's seeing the game slowly slip out of his grasp right now.
It's starting to get, oh man, it's starting to get way out of control.
Yeah.
Do you use this in a range?
I mean, it's also a card.
It's also a card,
Yeah.
but it doesn't do anything directly. That's a hard question to evaluate. I guess because you can use it next turn to draw, especially if you want to put on Acolyte Pain for an extra draw, or you can put on Grim Patron. But this explains a little bit why he's lined up the way he has. One thing that you do have to ask, though, if he has Gromosh, it's a little bit hard to like fit everything in. I would expect a commanding shout over like the Gromosh.
Especially with the Dragon Egg, too.
Oh, yeah. That's weird stuff. Okay, well, one thing for sure, this deck is funky with the capital F.
That seems to be
And like a,
Chang's trademark,
yeah.
is the word funky with a capital F. It legitimately is trademark. by
Yeah,
Chang.
and like an N with an Enya on top.
It would have to be. How can you choose? Come on, Chang. How can you choose?
Like a capital K, because he's lead.
Oh, man. Well, did he pull a secret? I don't think so. We would have seen the corner of that secret.
Speak to me.
So he's putting him on only having 1 trap. This is just...
So he's bouncing back everything here.
This is just too grim.
Double.
For TooWet. That was 2 puns in 1, man. It was looking too grim for TooWet. Because he's playing against Grim Patron Warrior.
Yeah.
And his
You're
name,
right, man.
His name is
You're not wrong. That was a pun.
yes.
And TooWet, it looks like he's done for today.
Yeah.
How do you actually win against this? You can't. You really can't. In a rage to draw 2 cards.
Wow.
'Twas fun, TooWet, but today is not your day. Today belongs to the day of the Miracle Patrons, the Combo Warlocks, and the Face Hunters. Really cool arsenal decks. We were hyping him up a little bit before the match, telling you about how cool some of Chiang's decks are, and he did not disappoint.
Yeah.
This guy delivered.
Yeah, definitely a creative guy, and I'm not surprised that a lot of his decks do become popular on Chinese ladder, just for being sort of off the wall and unique.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the first week that he competed, he wasn't that successful with his decks, but he did bring that type of miracle warrior. He brought a lot of cool decks, and also it's good to see an emotional player like him win. Unfortunately, we can't see his reaction after taking a series, but TooWet's going to try his best, but he knows that he's pretty much dead on board.
Yeah. He's going to try to, I guess, see how far he can drag this out. There's a slim chance his opponent has a bunch of situational cards. He has the Armor Smith and the Gnomish Inventor, but say he only has like Whirlwinds and Executes.
Yeah.
He could draw into high main. His opponent would lose too much health. He could probably snowball from there, but it's still really idealistic.
Yeah.
To say the least.
I mean, unless he's running like a Colt Master and can try and refill his hand, but
yeah, he runs Worgens. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's going to be it.
Wow.
Doesn't really matter what he does at this stage.
Yeah. All right. Well, TooWet is going to fall, and Chiang's going to move on. He's 2 matches away from securing his spot at the Season 2 Legendary Series Land Final. Of course, TooWet is qualified twice. He's not done. We will see him again on Sunday. He'll be competing in Group D on Sunday.
That's right.
But until then, he's got some rethinking to do with what he wants to do with these decks.
So Chiang takes the first series of the day, which means he goes on to play Savitz in the semifinals, and the winner of that goes to the finals. Winner of the finals goes to land. Second place gets nothing, as far as I know.
Nope, nothing. There's no prize pool associated with this.
Time on stream. That's about
Yeah, I mean, they all got $200 for competing in their respective Legendary Series week. But, I mean, getting a trip to California, getting to meet us, getting to experience
Getting to
ESL
play for
Studios.
$25,000
And getting to
World
play for that,
Championship
yeah.
points. Good stuff all around.
Yeah, really good stuff. But, of course, Chiang will be seeing him later. The next match is going to be Ignite versus Lemure, and I'm actually looking forward to this one. Ignite's a player that I really love to watch.
Yeah, I think he definitely approaches the meta in a different way than most players do.
Yeah.
He really likes Priest, for example, and I know people are really down on Priest. Ignite's the type of guy that will take a class that doesn't feel as powerful or an archetype and really surprise people with it. Maybe not. I compared him to Chiang in terms of the standing of it, but I think Ignite definitely has a more peculiar style. Like he's got the Chinese Priest with the light bombs and stuff.
Yeah.
He really likes Freeze Mage, and those are decks that you haven't really seen in recent time. You've been seeing a lot of other stuff, so I'm looking forward to see what he's got.
Yeah, it should be a great matchup. But Ignite versus Lemurian up next, plus many more on the Hearthstone Legendary Series Redemption Tournament.